you know what it feels like loving someone who will see the rushing current away. One day we're gonna get so far, 'cause we are gonna be forever and me. One day we're gonna get forever and me. Love, one day we're gonna get forever and me. Hello, hi. I know I'll never love this way again. Oh, I'll never love this way again. So I keep holding on and holding you. I know. Hello.
say in the months after a documentary or the act came out. And it got to be where the prison no longer had physical mail. They have to have, when someone passes away, all they have left is their name. And I was feeling regret and remorse about allowing the media to paint her as a villain. When I'm like, the thing is what if she's not a villain, but rather just a very sick woman that needed help?
Okay.
So I started to feel a lot of guilt about that. And then upon getting to prison is when I started to feel the pain and the loss of, okay, I'm never going to see her again. I'm never going to be able to have this closure moment to ask her, why this, why that? Would she forgive me? There's no closure on either side.
Yeah. There were court proceedings for you, but there's a trial.
There's a trial for him.
For Nick. Why is that the case?
Because I was offered a plea deal. So the prosecutor felt like there was enough mitigating evidence to offer me a plea deal to 10 years in the Department of Corrections. Take it or leave it. So I took it.
Okay. Now, I know that there was, this is right around the time when you hit my level of awareness, my radar, because this case, or should I say, this moment was all over the news. It was everywhere. It was headline news. And I recall there being two schools of thought around that plea deal for you. Or should I say three schools of thought. One was, okay, that sounds about right. Another was, no way. She deserves life in sentence or worse, or life in prison or worse. And another is, she should get off completely. When you reflect on a 10-year plea deal for your participation in murdering your mother, do you believe that was the correct sentence?
No.
You don't?
I feel like if I would have spent the rest of my life in prison, that would have been fair for the crime that was committed.
Oh my goodness. So then you feel as if Nick was given the right sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't feel like he should be free. But I do feel like he does need a lot of mental health therapy that needs to be done with him. And prison does not rehabilitate you to the best of their ability in the mental health space. They just don't. But yeah, if that would have been the outcome, that would have been fair for the crime that was committed. Now, do I also understand where the prosecution was coming from by offering me mercy? I do.
Okay.
So I'm appreciative for the second chance that I've been given, but I understand where people are coming from with feeling like the sentence didn't match the crime.
Okay. Well, that's profound for you to say that. Very profound. Were you aware of the media attention that this story got around the world, but namely in the United States?
Not to the degree that it was. You hear little bits from other inmates and what their families tell them, but there is not a lot, especially in jail. You're not even allowed to read your own articles. If they make a story and you're in it, they take it out, they rip it out.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So all of the papers had like these little cutouts and holes and everything, because obviously it was such a big case, but I couldn't read any of it, and I couldn't watch any of it. Anytime it would come on the news, the guards would turn off the TV. So I was so kept from it.
That's interesting. So you only knew through other inmates, through the family and friends of the other inmates.
They would talk to you, yeah.
They would talk to you, and then they would tell you.
Yeah.
And what were you hearing? What were they telling you?
I mean, a range of different things, like, man, your case is really big, like, everybody's talking about it. But other than that, that's it. And then I went to prison, and then obviously when the act came out, who was the act, that kind of blew up. Like, that was insane. I went from just being just a case to now being a TV character.
Okay. Did you, well, while in prison, did you see the act?
I did not. No, I heard about it because I was getting lots of fan mail and talking about it, and they would ask me questions, and I didn't know what they were referring to, because they had a lot of tweaks and changes that never happened in my real life. So the things that they were referencing happened in the show.
Okay.
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Okay. But now, hold on, Gypsy. You said you received a lot of fan mail.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the first fan mail that you received, and how did you feel knowing that you received fan mail?
So before the act came out, the first documentary was HBO's Mommy Dead and Dearest, directed by Aaron Lee Carr. And after that documentary, I was receiving a lot of mail, and it was supportive mail. I really don't like to say fan mail, but it was a lot of supportive mail from people all around the world that watched this documentary. And my story resonated with them for some reason. And
I'm curious, in that, Gypsy, what were they writing to? What were they saying?
telling me about their lives. A lot of them were very open to opening up about their own traumas.
Okay.
They felt like they could relate in some way or another. And it was where I didn't feel so alone. Like, I started to realize that there was a lot more people out there that goes through some really hard stuff in their life.
Okay.
And I was able to form friendships with these pen pals over time.
All right, that's interesting. It's interesting. That's interesting. It's interesting. So, prison, though, is much different than your previous, living situation.
Very much.
How did you adjust to prison, to living there?
I adjusted quite well, I feel. It was more freedom than I had ever had in my life. And it's crazy when people hear that from me, but it's the truth. In prison, I was able to, find myself in a controlled environment, but I was able to make friends. Making friends is not easy, especially as an adult, but I was able to make choices for myself, discover who I am, discover what kind of music I like, run around, go to the gym, go to school. I got my GED while I was in prison.
So, I want to say this delicately, but I'll just say it is that. So initially, did you enjoy your time?
Pay later, pay in installments, kahit walang credit card. Release yan.
Release is the leading buy now, pay later app in the Philippines. This consumer finance app aims to empower Filipinos with accessible and innovative financial solutions to build confidence to be responsible spenders.
Your time.
I won't say that it's enjoy. I will say it's live in a new way.
Hello.
Okay, so you enjoyed living.
It was enjoyment in a new way. Because there was enjoyment, but at the same time, the sacrifice is the time that I missed from my family that wanted a relationship with me. You know, that's 8.5 years of me watching my sister grow up, go to prom, my brother get married, you know, all these life moments that now I cannot join with them in, that I'm having to watch from afar. That is the punishment.
Okay.
Prison itself, I had a routine, I had a job. I didn't so much mind living there. If I had no family to go home to, prison probably wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world.
Interesting. Yeah, and I'm also thinking that you never didn't have any friends. So your entire life, you haven't had any friends. You don't know how to navigate that. You haven't had experiences of people, being your friend for ulterior reasons or not. So how did you navigate that in prison?
I'm still navigating that to this day. But I will say I was blessed to have two really good friends that I'm still friends with to this day. They are both currently still locked up. But there was never a time where I felt taken advantage of by them. And for me, that's big.
Now, I also know in prison is where you met your previous husband.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
First, how do you meet and marry someone while being in prison? How do you do that?
Well, I had received a letter from a man that's local, like a Louisiana-born native. So I was like, oh, it's someone, from my neck of the woods, a Louisiana Cajun boy.
Yes.
So I wrote back, and he seemed very sweet, and we made friends. It's not like we got into a relationship right out the gate, but he made me laugh. And that was something that is needed sometimes in prison.
Okay.
Sometimes you just need someone to make you laugh.
Okay. All right. I see it. So now, how many men were writing you supportive letters?
That I wrote back to, or no?
Or no? I think you wrote back to. I'm just curious. What was the incoming like?
I mean, the incoming, I was getting a mix. I would get hundreds of letters. But I didn't write back. I would say in the months after a documentary or the act came out. And it got to be where the prison no longer had physical mail. They have tablets now with its own email system.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the emails would come in through that certain system. And it was hundreds, over the course of the next few months after the act came out. That's exactly how I met my current boyfriend. I met my current boyfriend before I met my ex-husband.
Did you?
Yes. So my current boyfriend, his name is Ken.
Okay.
He wrote me after watching Mommy, Dead, and Dearest.
Okay.
It was a supportive letter, not on any kind of romantic level. He gave me his work schedule. I gave him a call. Within 5 minutes of talking on the phone, I felt like we had known each other our whole lives, besties.
Really? But hold on. All right, you have to help me on this. Because dating, this is a spot, an area that I know, but I don't know about prison dating.
Yeah.
All right, so he sends you a letter.
Mm-hmm.
In the letter, he includes his schedule.
Yeah, like work times. This is my phone number. This is when I work.
So he's already then approaching you in a romantic way.
No. I mean, that's just calls or calls. I mean, it's not like you can, do very much, but like calls is how you talk to people, get to know people.
Oh, so you're getting hundreds of supportive mail and email. But how many of those are people are trying to actively engage in a romantic relationship with you?
I mean, I would say about like 60% of them. I have my own thoughts on that.
Yes. Please, because I know that is a fetish.
Okay, I have my thoughts.
Okay.
My thought is that I didn't get a chance to watch the documentary until I was already out of prison. So upon watching the documentary, from what I kind of gather is, watching my story and then kind of watching where I was at that time, I feel like men instinctually want to protect. And then I'm also a chronic flirt, so I can see how it can kind of go that route too. So that's my thoughts.
Okay. All right. What was in that early time in prison where you believe your self-esteem levels were?
Very low.
Very low.
Very low.
Okay. All right. So it must have been a thrill then to get this supportive mail.
Oh, of course.
It's validation. It's external validation.
Absolutely.
Right. That I can also see it's very hard then to discern who to respond to. So you have a ongoing relationship or messaging back and forth with Ken, but then also, so then how does Ryan come into play?
Ryan, okay, so Ken and I dated, and my parents, got to meet my parents. We got engaged. After 2 years, we got engaged.
Oh my goodness, okay.
It made e-news. It was all over the news. It was all over every media tabloid. And he left me.
Ken did.
He dumped me. In October, it was the day after his birthday. Same year we got engaged. He left me and broke my heart. When I tell you, we still sometimes have arguments about him. I say abandoning, because that, prison was the time that I needed someone. I needed support. I needed someone to ride or die with me through the thick and the thin of it, And I felt like he was going to be that one. And for him to turn off all emotion and not answer my calls and then go on to get into another relationship. He got with another girl literally 2 months after leaving me. And went on to have a 4.5-year relationship with that woman. And so, also 2020 was the year of COVID. So, Ryan wrote me during COVID after watching the documentary, and unfortunately his was a lot different than Ken's, though.
Okay.
Ken, a friend of his named Diane, had watched my documentary first. It was like, hey, you gotta watch this documentary, it's so good. And they watched it together. Whereas Ryan watched it, then was at work having a conversation with a coworker. The coworker said, hey, I've been watching a lot of things about Tiger King. And then Ryan was like, well, if you write Tiger King, I'll write Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And then it was on a dare. Okay? And at the time, I was like, okay, it's whatever. It's whatever. So, 2020 was a very lonely year for me. And he made me laugh, and there were many times that I felt like I was not physically attracted to him, but I was getting emotional comfort, so much so that, when he was like, I want to get married, like, there were several times I told him, I'm like, I just think of you like a brother, or like, I think of you like a cuddle buddy, but he was always just, has to be romantic, has to be romantic, has to be romantic. And then later, the prison emails between us back and forth were released to the public.
Oh my goodness.
And people could see how he was so aggressive at wanting the relationship or nothing. And
A life full of happiness and love, no more fear, and they will reward you with unconditional love.
and so essentially, I married him for the wrong reasons. I was like, I felt like I settled. I felt like if I couldn't have Ken, I didn't want to die alone. And I wanted to at least prove to myself that I could maybe move past my heartbreak with Ken and go on to marry someone and be okay with just that. And I wasn't. We were married for like a year and a half.
And even the marriage, so the marriage, the actual wedding ceremony, it must have taken place in prison.
It did, in the visitation room by the bathroom.
Wow. Okay, romantic.
Yes.
Yes. And who then attends your wedding?
The only person that attended was my friend, the OG friend. And my parents couldn't come, I think, because like the COVID stuff was still going on. So there was so much limiting how much interaction, how many people could come visit at one time, I think. So it was just my friend, and that's it.
So I have to ask this too: is by this time you had served how many years in prison?
7.5.
Okay, 7.5. Okay, you had served 7.5 years, and you felt as if you had only a few more years left, because you didn't know if you'd be released early,
Right.
or not.
I had my parole hearing in December of 2021.
Okay.
And so I knew when I would be going home. I knew my release date
Wow.
at that point.
So you knew you were within a year.
Mm-hmm.
So the gypsy.
Why do I do it?
Why do it?
Okay, well, because I was not paroling to the state of Missouri, I was paroling to the state of Louisiana. I had to enter into something called an interstate compact.
Okay.
So what that means is